When you go in for a suicide mission, you don't take your accomplices in along with you. You always move alone. So had it been a suicide mission planned, there would have been only one bomber inside the car. There was a tweet by a youngster who had tweeted in the afternoon that what is wrong? There is so much of police and military presence. He said military, probably some other paramilitary forces would have been there. A massive gathering of police and other forces was seen by this youngster, and so he tweeted.
So, has any credible group claimed responsibility itself?
Initially, I think they found the footprints of Jaish-e-Mohammed. 300 kgs of ammonium nitrate.
Oh my God.
Now, ammonium nitrate is a chemical which is utilized for demolition purposes in mining industry. So my initial hunch was that maybe it was a CNG blast. Like you remember during 26/11, people were relaying direct telecasts of what was happening, and the terrorist handlers were sitting across the border and they were watching those television shows and directing the terrorists how to act. Now what happens is that the media has to be nationalistic. The 13 people who have lost their life, I say that they have sacrificed their life. Because of their sacrifice, so many other lives were saved. Because this was definitely an accident on the part of the terrorists. They were planning something massive. Terror has taken a new form.
Yes.
It is now intelligent. It is being performed by white-collar men and women, not to forget that. There was a lady doctor also who was apprehended.
Vanakkam and Namaste Siva 1440 and Run Niti viewers. Today we are going to meet Colonel Mayank Chaubey, a veteran, and discuss the details and the questions all of us are having regarding the Delhi blast. Colonel Chaubey, thank you for joining us today. So India has been shaken by the recent blast in Delhi. People are anxious and the investigation is unfolding rapidly. So do you see this as an isolated act or a part of a larger pattern of urban terror attempts?
First of all, Shivaji, thank you so for inviting me on your platform. And this is my maiden appearance. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And very lovingly, I call you Tambi. So
Thank
I
you very
think
much.
we'll maintain that
I'm
relation
delighted to
also.
hear that.
So, as per the question, whether this was an isolated act, I would plainly say that no. Negative is the answer because as you read the situation which was unfolding, many things were happening. So, I would take your viewers' mind to 4th of November. And on the 4th of November, what happens is that in the Kashmir Valley, massive raids are carried out and they confiscate a number of electronic items like laptop, tablets, hard disk drives, mobile phones, and they lay hands on various proof, electronic proof. Some digital footprints were also found there. And the digital footprints indicated towards Hawala transactions, towards UPI payment, and also towards cryptocurrency payments. Now, cryptocurrency was specifically found out to deal with Binance. Why am I taking this name Binance? Because Binance is the currency which was being traded, and it is said that there's a firm in the US which is related to the president. His son is part of that firm, and this firm has got into an agreement on the 23rd of April 2025 with the Pakistani Crypto Council. So if you start tracing here, you will find a hint that yes, Hawala transactions were there, UPI transactions were concluded, plus Bitcoins were also playing a major role. Cryptocurrency was also playing a major role, and Binance was specifically mentioned in the investigation. They did not arrest anybody in the first go. They just collected these things. The arrest started the next day. As the arrest started, this was being done by the local police in collaboration with the Jammu and Kashmir CID. When the arrest happened, they found out that there were vouchers which were indicating shifting of agrochemicals in some warehouse in Haryana in Faridabad. So there was a linkage of this network with Faridabad, the presence of certain agrochemicals which were being transported. So there were logs which were available, and then the arrest started in Jammu and Kashmir. When the arrest took place, the information was given to Chandigarh IB to Haryana STF. So what they do is Haryana STF along with J&K CID in conjunction with the IB of Chandigarh, they carry out a raid in a warehouse which was on the outskirts of Faridabad in Haryana. And there they find 300 kgs of ammonium nitrate.
Oh my God.
Now, ammonium nitrate is a chemical which is utilized for demolition purposes in mining industry. So it is a potent source from which a weapon can be created. When I say weapon, I mean a improvised explosive device can be created. Now, this has got some relation with fertilizer also. So what they were doing is that they were shipping this under the garb of agrochemical, and that's
Hmm.
how this was being. And then raids were carried out in various parts of the country, and they found out that there was a total of 2,900 kgs of ammonium nitrate which was floating around in the country, which was confiscated by the security agencies.
I see.
When the raid was carried out, there was one gentleman by the name of Dr. Umar who escaped the net of the police, and he was on the loose. So there was a blast which took place on the 10th of November in the evening at 6:52
Yes.
near the Red Fort. Now, I was traveling from Jaipur to Delhi, and I asked my friend if I could be shown as to what were the visuals which were coming out on television. So my initial hunch was that maybe it was a CNG blast.
Okay.
And you want to believe that everything is okay, there is no mischief involved, so you keep on telling your mind that this was a CNG blast. But when I saw the second visual, I saw many cars ablaze, lot of fire all around, and that created a doubt in my mind that something was amiss.
Hmm.
That means something was used which was now burning and which was strewn all around. So some explosive was used in conjunction with some burning material which could ignite at a very short notice.
Okay.
So immediately I started to think on these lines that this could be a low grade explosive. In the army, we call this as a low grade explosive, and that is ammonium nitrate, which is present in the market, mixed with fuel oil. So
Okay.
fuel oil becomes the fuel which is ready to burn. You mix it with ammonium nitrate, which will cause the explosion. So
Okay.
ammonium nitrate during a reaction will provide the oxygen component, and fuel oil will burn vigorously. So if
Understand.
you combine both these two, ammonium nitrate in itself is an explosive compound. When it is confined and detonated, a detonating wave is passed, it will explode. So what happens is that, okay, that means this car was carrying this contraption inside. If you trace it backwards for 3 hours, that was from 3:45 till 6:45, this car was parked in the parking area of Sunehri Masjid in that very area. Three occupants of their car get down and enter the masjid. They stay there for 3 hours. They then come back and they start their journey at 6:45.
Okay.
They are moving, and then they are intercepted by a police barricade.
Okay.
Now, people say that this was ill planned, intelligence was failing, the police didn't have any news about it. There was a tweet by a youngster who had tweeted in the afternoon that what is wrong? There is so much of police and military presence. He said military, probably some other paramilitary forces would have been there. A massive gathering of police and other forces was seen by this youngster, and so he tweeted that what is wrong? Why I see so much of police?
Hmm.
For the information of your viewers, I would like to clarify that on Monday, Red Fort is not open to public. So there
Okay.
is no reason as to why so many people were floating around there. The security forces, why were they present in so large numbers? That means the security forces knew that these terrorists will move this way to create some mischief, and they had laid a trap for them.
Oh, okay.
So, yes. So the police, they stop this vehicle, and as they're about to stop, the vehicle explodes. Now, this was a silver colored Hyundai i20 car which was involved. So my initial hunch was that probably there were three occupants, as per my sources. There were three occupants in that car, and I would add minimum three, because in the rush of things, you tend to miss out certain details. But three definitely were there in the car.
Okay.
Some people say there was only one man, which I will strongly refute. There were three men in the car, and when you go in for a suicide mission, you don't take your accomplices in along with you. You always move alone. So had it been a suicide mission planned, there would have been only one bomber inside the car.
Okay.
But when there were three, that means they were either trying to escape the police network or they were trying to plant this car at some place. Only two options, because the car was containing massive amount of explosives and there were three people, so all the three will not like to die together. Their
Okay.
handlers will also ensure that only one occupant dies. Rest two would be used in two different actions. So in all probability they were about to go and plant the car somewhere and escape. Now what happens that in a hurry, whenever a terrorist is about to undertake any such activity, he is either under the influence of drugs, he's severely drugged, so that his senses are not proper. Otherwise, it is very difficult for a man to enter into that zone where he knows that he's about to die. It's not
Hmm.
natural. Howsoever radicalized, motivated you are, but then you have to have a reason.
Yes.
This is not a very strong reason to do. What happens is probably they were trying to arm this device when they saw the police, and after arming, they probably thought that they would escape, run away. So that is the reason why the car was reportedly moving very slow. So
Hmm.
probably they had the intent of arming the device and running away from the car and leaving the car as it is, and it would explode at a later. This is my understanding. But news came on that there was a red color car which was trailing, a red Eco,
Hmm.
which was trailing. So now the entire scenario shifts into a new dynamic. If you take your mind back, a few years back, there was a bombing in Bali in Indonesia, where around 200 tourists they died. It was a suicide bomb attack. Now, what happens is in this suicide bomb attack, the suicide bomber takes his vehicle to the hotel and he develops cold feet. So, what he does is he takes a turn
Okay.
and he abandons his intent of exploding. When he's about to take a turn, this is noticed by a trailing car or a trailing vehicle. So, this suicide bomber was not on his own. Somebody was trailing to ensure that he performs the task which was assigned to him.
Okay. Okay.
So this bomber explodes and those tourists they lose their life. I am just bringing your viewers' minds to that fact. It may be possible that when the trailing car notices that they are about to enter into a trap, they press the button and the car goes off.
Oh my God.
So
Okay.
that could have been a story. So now the police is looking for that red color car. That's the latest. So they are probably looking for another 300 odd kgs of
Oh my God.
ammonium nitrate.
So,
Yes. So
has
this
any
is not
credible group claimed responsibility yet, sir?
initially. I think they found the footprints of Jaish-e Mohammed, and the beauty is, Tambi, what happens is there is a particular toolkit which comes into play when such a thing occurs. And how the toolkit comes into play is there is an incident. The incident is claimed by a terror outfit.
Hmm.
Immediately in India, what happens is the opposition jumps into the fray saying that it was done deliberately to hide something. In this case, there was a tweet that there was pollution in Delhi. So, just to divert the attention from the pollution, this thing happened. The other thing was that Bihar was going into elections. That is why this thing happened. The moment you say this, Pakistani news channels and the YouTubers they pick it up and they amplify this. That look, the Indians themselves are agreeing that this was a false flag operation, and they will publicize it to the world.
Yeah, it does
And the
happen.
Indian opposition will pick up this news from Pakistan that please give us the proof that this was not a false flag operation. The home ministry is useless. The intelligence, there was total intelligence failure. That's why this thing happened. So the home minister should resign. The intelligence agency should be revamped because we don't have faith. The government is using them as their own property. So this toolkit will always come into play. And I have been observing that in every incident, such like incident, it happened in Pahalgam. The moment this was there, it happened in Pulwama also, and now also I'm noticing the same thing. So this toolkit will come into play, and you'll notice opposition parties trying to derive mileage out of a tragedy, and which is very sad.
So my purpose is, and of course, all of our purpose is to bring the facts and the perspectives in correct way to the public, sir. So now let's look at the operational side of the response. So you did say you probably see a signature of a particular method used before when you compared it with the Indonesian incident. So in your experience, how effective was the immediate response from the Delhi police, NSG, and the local agencies? So was there any critical window right after this incident, and that was effectively being handled?
Tambi, the security network, the supporting staff, the agencies, they sprung into action within no time.
Okay,
In a
good,
jiffy, they were all there. That goes to prove that our intelligence was 100% on the dot. The agencies were there, they were ready, and that is why the loss was minimized. Of course, 13 people gone and 26 injured, of which 6 are critical. It is no small number. But the way the thing was handled is stupendous. So I will give full credit to all the intelligence agencies, the police agencies, and the support. That goes the fire brigade, NSG, NIA, forensic team, IB, whosoever was there. Within no time, they were there. And the high officials were present on ground. You saw the commissioner of police, he gave a statement on ground. The director of IB was present. The home minister immediately was visiting the hospital. So the entire machinery was pressed into action, and within no time, everybody was activated.
very good,
This is the fastest response that I had ever seen in my career. So I
very good.
would give full marks to all these agencies and the government setup here.
So every major attack raises one haunting question. Could it have been prevented? In your viewpoint, is the threat, could have been prevented? Should we have more surveillance and effectively to stop this kind of activities?
Tambi,
So,
I would like to emphasize on one point, and please make a note of it.
yeah,
The 13 people who have lost their life, I say that they have sacrificed their life. Because of their sacrifice, so many other lives were saved. Because this was definitely an accident on the part of the terrorists. They were planning something massive. So these 13 people who have lost their valuable lives in this incident, they have sacrificed their life for the sake of others. So I give a big salute to these people that
very good.
they faced these terrorists, they gave their lives just because many others could survive. This would have been a very, very big incident which they took it upon themselves and they sacrificed. When you ask me what else could have been done, I know there is always something is wanting out of any incident. The terrorists, they require just a moment to act. The security agencies have to continuously fight, track, and make a note of everything. The person who is there, who is willing to lay down his life, it is impossible to stop that incident. What will happen is that he will definitely blow himself up. The damage will be there, maybe to a structure, maybe to personnel, but the damage will be there. He will definitely explode himself. How do you stop that person? So it is very difficult to stop that person until unless you have something known as a hard int, that okay, so and so person will be having such a device and then his movement will be this. Then you can catch him. You are dealing with humans. The humans have their own mind. He is told that he will take this path. If he changes his path, you are gone. You have put a net there. Okay, he will walk into this trap. But the human being, he may just turn the car or he may move left or right. The agencies are left high and dry. Although they know that something is going to happen, this person will be there. But this person takes a detour. Probably this thing happened with this car also. But hats off to the security forces. They did a remarkable job.
Okay, sir. So, what are the biggest challenges today in detecting and intercepting such urban plots before they occur? Is the threat more domestic now or it's externally influenced?
So, Tambi, what happens is earlier we used to believe that these terrorist acts were committed by those people who were financially weak, who were not educated enough. They were being taught and radicalized in madrasas.
Hmm.
This was a common perception of the security agencies and the intelligence agencies. But here we find that there are highly educated people. There are doctors, and the doctors are not plain doctors. They are masters, MDs there.
Yes.
Resident doctors are involved. You have people who are engineering graduates. The person who was looking after that go down, he was an engineering guy. So educated people. So what we do is we term this as white collar terrorism. Now, this terrorist will be hiding somewhere. He might be staying next door in your colony. Every morning he will dress up smartly. You will also wish him, you will exchange pleasantries, least realizing that this guy is so radicalized that he is about to perform this task. So the Hippocrates oath that the doctors take was thrown out of the window. For them, the ideology was more important than the oath that they took that they would save their lives. It's ironical that the
Yeah,
person who's trained to save life, he is hell-bent and he plans to take life. So
unfortunately.
what do you call this mindset?
Yeah, I'm so shocked to hear that. So, Colonel, beyond immediate tragedy, incidents like this have long-term implication for India's security strategy. So, what does this attack reveal about the evolving nature of terror threats in India now, particularly
Uh,
Indian metros?
So, Tambi, what happens is the moment you have such intelligent people operating and who are self radicalized, they don't go across the border, they don't receive any training, they know how to hoodwink the police. Although the police was very smart, the security agencies were very smart, but they all know the inside story. The doctor is the educated man, he knows how to move very coolly, very calmly in front of the police. Although he's a terrorist, he is radicalized, he wants to kill, take lives. So, a person who's about to commit this crime can be moving amongst you. Now, this becomes a very big threat in the society. Now, whom do you believe? They can change name, they have got fake IDs, they have got aliases. It is very difficult to identify. So, the security forces have to be in a constant vigil. The moment there is a doubt, they have to keep tracking and keep looking for such clues. Now, every person tries to get into a crypto trade. How do you stop it? How do you control it? Because crypto dealings are encrypted. You cannot check that. Hawala racket was once carried out. But
Yep.
how do you stop that? UPI transfers. Internally, you are using UPI transfers. Of course, the government can track, but then you don't know that they might be keeping the value to a level where the red flags are not raised. They are very smart. You are using a godown which is on the outskirts of a town, and you have your own sympathizer working there. So you can brick the stores, nobody comes to know. You take a car which has changed hands many times prior to this incident. How do you
Yes.
keep a track what is going on where? So now terror has taken a new form.
Yes.
It is now intelligent. It is being performed by white collar men and women. Not to forget that there was a lady doctor also who was apprehended.
Yes.
So it can be done by anybody, and the security forces have to be on a constant vigil on their toes.
So, how do you see India's internal security adapting to this, particularly, are our current terror or counter-terror doctrines still relevant?
101%. See, you may find a person, but how to deal with that person remains the same. Now, what happens is, how do you understand the psyche of a person? So, all those teachings will undergo a change. Here, I would now request every person who's listening to this podcast, you are the soldiers of this country. You may not be wearing any uniform, but the internal dynamics are to be taken care of. You have to be vigilant. If you find something suspicious, please walk up to your nearest security personnel and report the matter. Be vigilant that you might be having a neighbor who may be actively involved. The moment you find somebody whose movements are suspicious, whose statements are doubtful, be vigilant, make a note of it. If in case you find a chatter on social media where people are radicalizing, spreading a particular faith, and they are trying to coax people to join them, that raises red flags. So be vigilant wherever you are moving, wherever you are. I'm not trying to scare you, but then you should keep your eyes and ears open for such things, because now terror has shown a new face to us. An educated person can also be involved. So
True.
every person, every citizen of this country, I proudly say that we belong to a great land. Ma Bharti is worshipped all over. So
Yes.
if in case you are the true son and daughter of Ma Bharti, remain vigilant and become a soldier. If in case you're not donning a uniform, you can still remain a soldier. Be loyal to this country. Pull down those forces which want to cause harm to our motherland.
So now there's always a sensitive balance. like a national security versus political accountability. So, what about the roles of external influence here? Funding, planning, ideological support, and can we ever fully insulate our urban centers from that?
The answer would be unfortunately no. You cannot insulate everything. Funds will exchange hands because everybody understands how people earn money and how do you get rich. Everybody understands. There's a particular journey which he or she undertakes. If in case suddenly things change, and of course, if somebody becomes extra polite to you, extra benevolent, that should also raise some doubt. So, what is required to be done is you lead your normal life, but remain vigilant. You should be aware that these things might be possible. Till now, nobody could suspect that a medical doctor would be involved. But now that we have enough evidence, and it is not just evidence, it is right on our face. So,
Yeah.
you take precautions and you be aware that this thing is also possible.
Yeah, you actually let my question very easily. So, public participation is often the missing link in the national security. And so, what role should responsible media play in such crisis time?
See, at present, I'm finding the media really wanting.
Okay.
The media should now get over this TRP attitude and understand that national security is of prime importance. Like you remember during 26/11, people were relaying direct telecasts of what was happening. And the terrorist handlers were sitting across the border and they were watching those television shows and directing the terrorists how to act.
And yeah,
Now, what happens is that the media has to be nationalistic. For them, nation first should always be there. I really admire the American media here. The American media, if something befalls on the country, the American media will always be patriotic and will never ever question the government when the things are unfolding. Of
true.
course, at a later stage, you may question the government. It's your right. But
Yes,
when the government is involved in such an activity, you should be rallying behind the government of the day. Even though you may be against the government, you may be taking a stance that way, but you are duty bound because for every Indian, nation should always be first.
correct. Very much correct. So, Colonel, you have seen the field realities of counter terror operations. So, let me end our conversation on a more personal note. Like, do you see signs of improvement compared to the past incidents, or what worries you most about India's current urban vulnerability?
Thambi, let me place it on record. In this incident, there was so much of cohesion in the security forces. Now, I have named you. There was Jammu and Kashmir CID, there was Chandigarh IB, there was STF of Haryana, there was Delhi Police. Now, you see, four different states
Yep.
not necessarily having the same government,
Yes.
but the security agencies are now working as one cohesive force. So this was a very big plus. Although I may not say that, okay, this thing emerged out of this incident. Of course it did. But this was a very big takeaway from this incident, that the security agencies were not vying for the first place. They were helping each other towards the national cause. That's a very big positive that I found here.
Okay.
When the Delhi police gets the information, the tip off was there. They put out the net, and I would salute the brave policeman who was standing there in front of the car trying to stop it, and they succeeded in it. So, by doing this, they averted something major.
Okay.
Now, your question was how do we avoid such an incident and urban Naxals, if in case you
Yeah.
wanted to hint. So, yes, we have to counter this propaganda. I have already laid out as to how the toolkit operates in this country. So, never fall prey to it. If in case somebody is speaking ill of the country or the government of the day when the incident is unfolding, please check and remind that person that country should always come first and every time. Your personal differences, your ideological differences may take a back seat. You may question the government at a later stage. But for heaven's sake, when the country is at war, and I would say that the country is presently at war, you have been attacked. The
Yes.
capital was under attack. Of course, the security forces, they acted very smart and they averted the attack. But yes, the country is under attack. Today, the Cabinet Committee on Security is meeting. So, if the
Yes.
Cabinet Committee on Security is meeting, that means they are discussing something very serious. The
Yes.
your country on the western borders has said that we are in a state of war. What else do you want? If in case you are at that state, please, for heaven's sake, be a concerned citizen, be a true Indian, and not only be, prove to be a true Indian. Your
Correct.
actions
Very
should
well.
speak louder than words. Show to
Yes.
the world that you are rallying behind your countrymen. That's what I wanted to say, Shivkumarji. Thank you so
So,
much.
what we must remember and act upon once these headlines fade.
Never lower your guard,
Okay.
because this is Kalyug. In Kalyug also you will always find a tussle between Devta and Danav. The form may change. He may now come dressed in a suit, a tie, a shining shoes, but he may still be a Danav. So you have to decide whether you want to side by the Devtas or with the Asuras. It
Okay.
is your decision, but
Okay.
make a concerted decision. Is the person acting in good faith for your country, or is he even trying to hint that he would like to bring down your country?
Okay.
Act in good faith, be a loyal citizen, prove to yourself and to your family men that you are a true patriot, a true Indian. Don't
Right.
don't just show, act. That is important.
That was a very nice ending. Thank you, Colonel Chube, for your time and insights. As always, your perspective helps our viewers understand not just what happened, but what must change for India to stay secure. Thank you,
Thank you,
viewers.
Tanvi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.